Welcome to the Padres Postgame Show on the Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. We'll take a trip down to the manager's office to hear from Mike Shildt. Plus, we'll bring you scores from around Major League Baseball. The Padres Postgame Show starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
0-1. Machado sends it in the air to deep right center field. DeLuca back at the wall. He leaps. It's going to go. Oppo Taco for Manny Machado. A 3-run shot here in the second inning. And the Padres have kicked the extra point. It's 7-0.
Manny Machado, a home run on a very nice night in St. Petersburg as the Padres beat the Tampa Bay Rays in this series opener. The final score, Padres 13 and the Rays 5. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we welcome you into our post-game coverage here on the Padres Radio Network. A lot to do. We'll have all the radio highlights for you. We'll also hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt as the Padres improved to 77-60. Rays dropped to 66-68. The Padres do a nice job opening up this three-game series with a win, bouncing back after a tough couple of days in St. Louis, and that's where the conversation begins tonight. Padres did a really good job in this game, just getting all over Taj Bradley, the Rays starting pitcher. The Padres offense was absolutely rolling early on. They scored 10 runs in the first 4 innings of this game on 9 hits. Padres would jump out to a 7-0 lead after an inning and a half. It would become 7-4, but the Padres ultimately added on a few more runs. They added on some runs late as well. They go on to win it 13-5, but that was the most impressive and really the most important part of this game when you consider the Padres, and we talked about it plenty pregame. They had scored just 2 runs in the prior 17 innings before today's game on 2 solo home runs. So one of the things we talked about pregame was you wanted to see the offense get it going. You wanted to see the offense really wake up in this game, and they did that again immediately. 3 runs in the first inning, 4 runs in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 more in the fourth inning. And the Padres, after, again, 4 innings, they had a 10-4 lead and sort of cruised from there. As far as runners in scoring position, we talked about it pregame. Padres, the last 2 days before this one, they were 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position, while they were 7 for 13 with runners in scoring position here tonight. So that was way, way better. And it just felt like the kind of offensive performance that was exactly what they needed in this game. Did a really good job. Taj Bradley, by the way, we talked about it plenty pregame. He's a good starting pitcher. He's had a good year. He is a good young right-hander, and the Padres had 8 runs against them on 8 hits in 2 innings and a third. So they did a great job attacking him, and they jumped out early, really never looked back. The other part of this game that was, I thought, a real positive, Martin Perez gives up 4 runs in the second inning, was not a great inning. It's a 7-4 game, and you're sort of feeling like, this might just be one of those games that's going to be a long night, that even though you had a 7-0 lead, it's not going to feel that comfortable. But Martin Perez did get through 5 innings in this game, 4 earned runs given up. Sean Reynolds, really effective inning and 2/3, and the Padres had to go to Estrada, had to go to Scott, had to go to Morejon to close out the game. It really felt like in the middle innings and the late innings, the game was never in much doubt, but Padres did have to use some bullpen arms in this game. But my point is with Perez, could have been a lot worse. There was a point in that second inning. He walks the leadoff man in the third. There's a point early in that game where you might be thinking, is Perez going to have a really short outing here, even though the Padres had a 7-0 lead? Is this going to be one of those games where you got to use a ton of bullpen and Perez can't get out of the third or fourth or whatever it might be? He got through 5, so it didn't end up taxing the pen all that much. You didn't have to use Jason Adam in this game. You didn't have to use Robert Suarez in this game. You didn't have to use Brian Hoeing in this game. They did use Scott. They did use Estrada. They did use Morejon. And look, at least Martin Perez was able to get through 5. But all in all, the offense, the story in this ball game, early lead, early offense, power, home run for Manny, home run for Peralta. We'll get more into it as we go along as the Padres win it 13-5, and we'll have the out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later. The good news, and we pointed this out pregame and, throughout the night, the Padres are guaranteed to gain ground on somebody tonight in the next 3 days because the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers are playing each other, the first of a four-game series beginning tonight in Arizona. So that's sort of the beauty of this series against Tampa Bay, the game on Monday against the Tigers as well. If you're the Padres, you take care of business, you are guaranteed to pick up ground on somebody. So we'll take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up later. Padres 13, Rays 5. Our post-game coverage continues after this. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here tonight, Padres 13 and the Rays 5. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Padres a very nice win to open up this three-game series in Tampa Bay. Appreciate you joining us on this Friday evening. Whatever you might be doing, maybe you're on the way to your Friday evening plans. Maybe you had an early dinner. You're on the way home. Maybe you were working late on a Friday night. You're on the way home right now. Maybe you're hanging out at home. Whatever it is, we appreciate you tuning in to our post-game coverage. We'll go back to Tropicana Field in Florida. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. This was a nice game for the Padres in a number of different respects. Let's recap it from start to finish.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
The Padres offense was rolling early on. Jerkson Profar hit a leadoff single against Rays starter Taj Bradley. Jake Cronenworth then hit a single. There were runners on first and third for Manny Machado.
As he delivers, Manny muscles it into right field and a base hit. Profar will walk home from third. Cronenworth races over there. RBI single Manny Machado and a 1-0 Padre lead in the first.
Padres weren't done. Xander Bogaerts hit a sac fly to center. That scored Cronenworth and made it 2-0. Jackson Merrill was next.
Really bang. First pitch swinging, Merrill line drive. Base it into center field. Machado rounding third. He's going to score. It's a 3-run first here in St. Pete.
So a 3-run first inning for the Padres as the Padres would get that Merrill RBI single. Padres then got back to work in the second. Luis Campusano hit a leadoff single. Profar walked. With runners on first and second, it was Jake Cronenworth.
For Jake Cronenworth. Hits this one hard through the right side and a base hit. Campusano rounding third. Low comes up. Throw will be cut behind the mound. RBI single, Jake Cronenworth. And the Padres got a 4-0 lead here in the second inning.
There were still 2 on base for Manny Machado.
0-1. Machado sends it in the air to deep right center field. DeLuca back at the wall. He leaps. It's going to go. Oppo Taco for Manny Machado. A 3-run shot here in the second inning, and the Padres have kicked the extra point. It's 7-0.
So the Padres were up big, but the Rays would answer against Padres starter Martin Perez in the bottom half of the second. There were runners on second and third, nobody out for Taylor Walls.
First pitch from Perez, lined up the middle. That's into center field and a base hit. Morel going to score. DeLuca right behind him. Merrill's throw to the plate is out in front of the dish. And into second base on the throw goes Walls. He drives in 2. And the Padre lead is 5 here in the second inning.
Yandy Diaz was next for Tampa Bay.
2-2. Into the air, deep to left field. So far back. He's at the wall, looking up, going to go. 2-run homer, Yandy Diaz, his 12th of the year. And this is where we tell you don't go anywhere. Padre lead has gone from 7-0 to 7-4. And there's only 1 out here in the second.
So it was kind of a crazy game early on. The two teams had 11 runs on 11 hits combined in the first 2 innings. Padres had a 7-4 lead after 2. Padres offense kept the pressure on. Taj Bradley was taken out during the third. The Padres loaded the bases against Rays reliever Erasmo Ramirez. Donovan Solano drew a bases loaded walk. That made it 8-4. Ramirez came back out in the top of the 4th inning. There was a runner on for David Peralta.
So runner on third, 2 outs, 3-2. Peralta hits it in the air, deep to right field. This one way back, gonna go. 2-run homer, David Peralta. And the Padres have scored in each of the first 4 innings here tonight. It is now 10-4.
7th home run of the season for David Peralta. 10-4, Padres in front. Martin Perez got through 5 innings and allowed just the 4 runs. Sean Reynolds came out of the Padres bullpen. He pitched a scoreless 6th inning. He got the first 2 outs of the 7th inning. By the way, all the outs that Reynolds recorded in this game, they were all via the strikeout. Jeremiah Estrada would finish that 7th inning. Estrada and Tanner Scott combined for a scoreless bottom half of the 8th inning. Estrada got a couple of outs in that inning. Scott got 1 out. Padres still led 10-5 going to the 9th inning. Or pardon me, I should say the Rays did get a run in that 8th inning charged against Estrada. So it was a 10-5 game going to the 9th inning. Padres would add on. Xander Bogaerts led off.
1-0. Bogaerts hits it in the air to deep left field. Carlson back. This one is, I think, gone. A home run. Just snuck it over the yellow line in left field. Xander Bogaerts leads off the top of the 9th inning with his 7th home run of the season. And the Padre lead is 11-5.
Padres weren't done. Later in the inning, they loaded the bases for Donovan Solano.
1-2. Pitch on the way. Solano, hard hit liner up the middle into center to base hit. Johnson has scored. Campusano's on his way. A 2-run single for Donovan Solano and a 13-5 Padre lead in the 9th.
Adrian Morejon would pitch a 1-2-3 ninth inning, and that was it. 13-5, the Padres beat the Tampa Bay Rays. 13 runs on 13 hits, 1 error for San Diego. Tampa Bay, 5 runs, 10 hits, and no errors offensively in this game. It was up and down the lineup. Jerks and Profar had a base hit. Donovan Solano had a base hit, 3 RBIs. I should mention Profar had 2 runs scored. Jake Cronenworth had 2 hits and RBI, 2 runs scored. Manny Machado, 3 hits, 4 RBIs, including a 3-run home run. Xander Bogaerts had a base hit. That was the home run. 2 RBIs for Xander. Jackson Merrill, 2 hits and RBI. David Peralta, 2 hits, including a home run. Luis Campusano had a base hit, 2 runs scored in this game. And the only guy in the starting lineup without a hit today was Mason McCoy, who went 0 for 5. But up and down the lineup, a terrific offensive day for the Padres as, again, they win it 13-5. And 3 home runs in this one. 23rd of the year for Manny, 7th home run of the year for Peralta, 7th home run of the year for Xander Bogaerts. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Plus, we have our daily awards coming up a little bit later as well. If you want to squeeze a phone call in, you can at 833-288-0973. Again, 833-288-0973. We'll get to those coming up a little bit later. Final score, Padres 13, Rays 5. More postgame after this. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score, Padres 13 and the Rays 5 as the Padres open up this 3-game set in Tampa Bay with a very nice victory. Padres offense was cooking early on. 3 runs in the first inning, 4 in the second, 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth inning. Padres led 7-0. They then led 7-4 as the Rays scored 4 in the second, but they responded really nicely. Had a 10-4 lead for a while, would become 10-5. Padres getting a few late runs, 3 in the ninth inning to extend the lead to 13-5. They cruise to a series opening win. They snap, I don't know if you call 2 losses in a row a skid, but they do snap a little 2-game losing streak, if you will. whatever you want to call it. Padres bounce back nicely. And again, we'll get to the full out-of-town scoreboard coming up a little bit later. The good news is that the Padres are guaranteed both here tonight and the next 3 days to gain ground on somebody, whether that is the LA Dodgers or the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up later on. Martin Perez, 5 innings, was solid in this game. Did give up 4 runs in the second, but did a good job getting through the 5 innings on 101 pitches. Bullpen did a good job in this game. Sean Reynolds, inning and 2/3 scoreless. Jeremiah Estrada did get charged with a run in 1 inning total. Tanner Scott got 1 out in this game, only threw 4 pitches, and Adrian Morejon, a 1-2-3 9th inning. 3 home runs in this game. 1 for Manny, his 23rd of the year. David Peralta, his 7th, and Xander Bogaerts, his 7th as well. Let's go back to Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida, and here's some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike, that thing started beautifully. That first inning just couldn't have been more aesthetically pleasing. Got a little crazy for a while. Just think of the way you guys played tonight.
I don't think we maybe talk about our base running enough. It was on display all night. First inning pro, figured out a way to get to second. Crony, great first to third. Tagged by Manny at first. The tag by Pro later. So both at first base. Those are really nice baseball plays. And the hungerness of the at-bats was really impressive too. Just the approach and the whole offensive machine, 1 through 9, base running, base running, and the at-bats were just extremely professional.
So even though it goes on and there's like 18 more runs scored in the game, that first inning, that sets the tone for how you guys are going to be?
Set the tone, and then the second inning, Manny's allowed homer the other way. It's like the hungerness it's never enough. And just keep getting after it. Like I say, being hungry with just always wanting more, better at bat. Just continue to be relentless in competition. It's impressive.
Obviously, Martin struggled different ways tonight, but what was your impression of how he professionally got through the 5 innings?
It was just that professionally, just didn't have anything that he really could get in a rhythm with, and was behind a lot of counts, and they made him pay when he had to come in the zone. But I give him a ton of credit, man. He figured it out, and I start to develop a little more rhythm about the 4th. His pitch count was pretty high, and we were teetering on the combination of pitch count and effectiveness. But to his credit, he started making some more quality pitches, and the moxie of being a veteran paid off. Got through 5.
What did you like about the way you guys attacked Bradley and his splitter?
I just love the fact that we saw it good. Guys weren't trying to do too much. We were making it good in the zone. Pro had 4 walks. That was a combination of a lot of different pitchers, but Campy was patient in the zone. I love that. Not chasing guys around. We're just patient, looking to get good pitches to hit, and not trying to do too much.
Manny's 3 hits all came off different pitch types. I know he's been hot for a long time, but when it just seems like he's super locked in right now when he's doing stuff like that.
Yeah, no, he's definitely locked in. That's the one thing about Manny's is that's why he's driven in over 1,000 runs, and he's been a proficient player in this league for a long time. He's got such a balanced swing. He's got such a nice stroke, nice, I say it's a simple swing, just a, really just easy, fundamentally sound swing, and he's got a good feel for what he's doing, and that swing allows him to be on balance and on time, and, then it allows him to be able to handle everything, soft or quicker or in or out.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after this 13-5 win for the Padres against the Tampa Bay Rays. You heard Mike talk about Manny there. Really big night for him. 3 hits, the home run, 4 RBIs. And we talked about Manny pregame today about how he took an offer on Thursday in St. Louis, but he swung the bat really nicely lately. We'll talk a little bit more about Manny when we return. We'll also get into our daily awards. If you want to get a phone call in, 833-288-0973. The phone number, we've got a few people waiting on hold, so we'll get to you when we get back. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard and much, much more to do. Again, the final score, Padres 13 and the Rays 5 as the Padres win this series opener. More post-game after this. Padres win it on this Friday night, 13-5. The final score in St. Petersburg, Florida at the Trop. Padres win this series opener. Very nice win. Padres offense was hot early on, 10 runs in the first 4 innings, 13 runs on 13 hits in this ball game, including 3 home runs. We'll take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard in a little bit. We'll get into our daily awards in a second, and we'll also take some of your phone calls here in a second, 833-288-0973. A lot of good things to talk about in the Padres bullpen tonight. Let's do that with our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
Here's the 2-2. Aranda swings and misses, strike 3. And the inning is over. 3 Ks and a scoreless 6th for Sean Reynolds.
Sean Reynolds, our relief pitcher of the game tonight. Inning and 2/3 scoreless, recorded 5 outs. All 5 came via the strikeout. Like you heard Jesse say there, 3 strikeouts in the 6th inning. Did walk a batter in that 6th inning. Had 2 hits allowed in the 7th inning after he struck out the first 2. So through the inning and 2/3, at one point, it really looked like he was going to put together a real dominant 2 scoreless innings, maybe a 2 scoreless innings where he struck out 6, gave up back-to-back singles, and ultimately came out of the game for Jeremiah Estrada. But inning and 2/3 in that spot, Martin Perez goes 5 innings. You're certainly looking for Reynolds to give you a little length, and he did that. He got 5 outs. You would have loved 6. Would have loved for him to finish that inning. We've seen that a little bit with Reynolds towards the very end of his outings. It gets a little shakier. But you zoom out a little bit, and you look at the body of work from Sean Reynolds in the early part of his major league career. He's been very impressive. So far, 9 appearances, a 0.82 ERA, 11 innings. He struck out 21 in the 11 innings. 5 walks. It's been very good. Got a little shaky towards the end of his outing today, but there's no way you can watch Sean Reynolds and not come away very impressed with what this guy has, his size. Padres, I think, have something in Reynolds. I really do. 0.82 ERA, 9 appearances. Again, 21 strikeouts in 11 innings. And he was good today. Inning and 2/3 scoreless. Did get you multiple innings worth of outs. Couldn't get through 2 scoreless innings, but did give you an inning and 2/3. So for that reason, Sean Reynolds, our relief pitcher of the game. We'll tell you about our player of the game coming up in just a little bit. Let's get to a couple of your phone calls here, 833-288-0973. Let's go to Eric calling in from Chula Vista. Hi, Eric. You're on the Padres postgame show. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call. Love listening to pre and post game. Hey, what an exciting time of year for Padres fans. I wanted to touch on an amazing job manager Mike Shildt has done. But one thing I'm closely going to be watching, and it's probably going to be one of his toughest decisions, is where to plug Tatis Jr. into the lineup. And I say that because not only has he been out for so long, but manager Mike Shildt, he doesn't like to move his batting lineup around a whole lot. So it's going to be very interesting to see where he plugs in Tatis for that first maybe 2 series when he comes back. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, Eric, it's a fair question. And look, I think it's something we'll worry about when Fernando comes back and when that seems really imminent. And look, it's getting close. I mean, we know Fernando's been taking at bats in Arizona. There's been some discourse as far as the reporting. Maybe he could return as soon as this next homestand. It's soon. It's coming. So, look, it's a good question. Fernando's got a bat in your top 4 somewhere. So, it's a good question. If Arise is your leadoff man, which I assume he is, there's some righty-lefty stuff to consider. Profar's a switch hitter. Cronenworth's obviously a left-handed hitter. Right now, most days, it's Arise, Profar, Cronenworth, Machado, Bogarts, and Merrill. So it's a good question. It's a really good question. If you move Cronenworth down, then you potentially, I guess you would have, against a righty, lefty, maybe it's Arise lefty, Tatis righty, Profar's on most days against a righty, a lefty, to Machado, to Bogarts, maybe. It's going to be interesting with some righty-lefty stuff. But look, Fernando, he's going to be somewhere in the top 4. So they are going to have to figure out what that looks like. And we've done this before where I've went back to earlier in the season and looked at how things looked. I mean, it may not be that hard to figure out, to be honest with you, because we had a big sample size. During the break, I'll go look a little bit more into it, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Let's go to Ryan calling in from San Diego. Hi, Ryan. Go ahead.
Hey, Sammy. I just wanted to make a couple points about tonight. First, I just wanted to point out that they've shown it for a long time that when everyone in their lineup and the rotation in the bullpen is doing their part, they're nearly unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
And then my second point I wanted to make is I wanted to get your opinion on this. Do you think there's a chance that the Padres pull the trigger on Ethan Salas and bring him up at some point during the stretch?
Ryan, I appreciate the phone call very much. Let me answer both parts of your question and appreciate you listening. Number one, look, you're spot on. 26-man roster, that's been the name of the game. As cliche as it sounds, for the Padres during the second half. I mean, most nights it has been a full effort top to bottom. Tonight, one of those nights. I mean, to get the contributions you got from Peralta and Sean Reynolds, it has been to me one of the real magic parts of this second half is that on a lot of nights there are a lot of contributors, and each and every night, different nights, there are different contributors. It's been that way in the second half. It's been one of the main reasons this team has won as much as they've won since the All-Star break. As far as Salas, I do not see that, Ryan. Salas is a very, very young player who, for a while this season, was struggling offensively at Fort Wayne. He's only at Fort Wayne. He's a very, very young player. So I don't think that. I do not think he will be here in the big leagues this season. We'll see, where he's at in spring training, where he starts in the minor leagues next year. And Ethan Salas will be here at some point. It's not going to be the rest of 2024. So he's still at Fort Wayne. He's still at High A. So quite a ways to go, I think, for the very talented Ethan Salas. Let's tell you about today's player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Paddy's and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
0-1. Machado sends it in the air to deep right center field. DeLuca back at the wall. He leaps. It's going to go. Oppo Taco for Manny Machado. A 3-run shot here in the second inning, and the Padres have kicked the extra point. It's 7-0.
Manny Machado, our player of the game, his 23rd home run of the season here tonight. Manny also picking up RBIs 79, 80, 81, 82, and 83. Hold on a second. 80, 81, 82. I'm sorry. 80, 81, 82, and 83. 83 RBIs for Manny Machado now. 23 home runs. Ends the night batting .274. Had 3 hits in this game, the home run, 4 RBIs. Player of the game. And also drove in the first run of the game with an RBI single. So really sparked the offense in that first inning. Padres would go on to score 10 runs in the first 4 innings. Tell you what, it's really something, huh? You look up. Again, .274 batting average, 23 home runs, 83 RBIs. Somehow, some way, you want to know what makes a Hall of Fame career? Is that despite the early struggles, the elbow, he's getting close to the numbers he usually gets to, right? Somehow, some way. It's pretty remarkable when you think about it. So Manny's played so much better over the course of really a while now. You look at what he's done. In the last 8 games, he's batting .382, 3 home runs, 3 doubles, 10 RBIs, and 6 runs scored. So it's been very, very productive as of late. He's in the midst of a really nice run right now and had a big game here tonight. So Manny Machado, our player of the game. When we come back, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have our play of the game. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for tomorrow. If you want to squeeze a phone call in, you can at 833-288-0973. Postgame show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Padres win it 13-5 here tonight against the Tampa Bay Rays. Appreciate you joining us on this Friday evening. As we wrap this one up, we'll have our play of the game coming up in just a moment. We'll also preview tomorrow's second game of this three-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Let's tell you about the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We have a number of finals already. Let's begin in Minnesota. Twins beat the Blue Jays 2-0 earlier today. Astros beat the Royals 3-2 in Houston. Astros won that game in the bottom half of the ninth inning. They won it on a Jose Altuve walk-off double for the Astros. So the Astros beat the Royals. Good series there. A couple of good American League teams. A's beat the Rangers 9-2 in Arlington. J.J. Bleday, a 3-run home run in that game for Oakland. Guardians beat the Pirates 10-8 in Cleveland. Yankees beat the Cardinals 6-3 in New York. Austin Wells, 2 home runs in that game for the Yankees. Cubs beat the Nationals 7-6 in Washington, D.C. Cody Bellinger, a home run in that game. A 7-run second inning for the Cubs. So they scored all their runs in 1 inning in the second. Doubleheader today between the Brewers and the Reds. The Brewers won game 1 of that doubleheader 5-4 in 10 innings. They won game 2 14-0. They hit a 10-run ninth inning in that game. So Brewers sweep that doubleheader from the Reds. Red Sox beat the Tigers 7-5 in Detroit, final in 10 innings. Zidane Rafaela, Jarren Duran hit back-to-back home runs in that top of the 10th inning. Braves beat the Phillies 7-2 in Philadelphia earlier today. Orlando Arcia, 2 home runs in that game for Atlanta. Games going on right now. Marlins and the Giants are scoreless in the 4th inning in San Francisco. Mariners ahead of the Angels 7-4 in the 6th inning in Anaheim. Orioles ahead of the Rockies 5-3 in Colorado in the 9th inning. By the way, we did have one more final. Mets beat the White Sox 5-1 in Chicago. The game you care about the most, bit of a wild one right now in Arizona. Dodgers and Diamondbacks tied at 5 in the 3rd. So we had a bit of a quick start offensively in the game today in Tampa Bay. Dodgers and Diamondbacks tied at 5 in the 3rd. Now, the good news about that game is this. The Padres will gain ground on somebody. They either will gain a game on the Dodgers or they will gain a game on the Diamondbacks. And that's the beauty of tonight and the next 3 days, is that you are guaranteed, if the Padres win their games, to gain ground on somebody. So here's the situation. If the Diamondbacks win that game, Padres would remain a game behind Arizona for the top wildcard spot. If the Diamondbacks lose that game, then the Padres and the D-backs would be tied for the top wildcard spot once again. If the Dodgers lose, Padres would gain a game on LA. They'd be 4 games back of first place in the National League West. Dodgers win, they stay 5 games back. So they're going to either gain a game on LA or a game on Arizona. Pretty early in that one, 5-5 in the 3rd inning. And that's a look at the full out-of-town scoreboard on this Friday. Padres win it 13-5 in Tampa Bay. Let's hear our play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's play of the game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Runner on third, 2 outs, 3-2. Peralta hits it in the air, deep to right field. This one way back, gonna go. 2-run homer, David Peralta. And the Padres have scored in each of the first 4 innings here tonight. It is now 10-4.
David Peralta, our play of the game, the home run, 7th home run of the season for Peralta. 2-run shot in the 4th, made it a 10-4 game. Reason we picked that is because the Padres had a 7-0 lead. Rays make it 7-4. Padres get a run in the 3rd to make it 8-4. It felt like that Peralta home run gave him a lot of breathing room. Perez had settled in a little bit. Felt like I don't want to say that early it put the game away, but it went from, okay, we had a 7-0 lead, it's now 7-4, certainly the Rays are in striking distance here, to it being a 6-run game again, and you feeling like the Padres were in a very good position. So, for that reason, David Peralta, our play of the game, the home run in the 4th inning. 1 of 3 the Padres hit tonight, one from Xander, his 7th, one for Manny, his 23rd, and that one from Peralta. All right, before we preview tomorrow's game and put a bow on our post-game show on this Friday night, let's squeeze in one more phone call. One of our very loyal listeners. Let's go to Katie in Oceanside. Hi, Katie. You'll have the final word here tonight. Go ahead.
Hi, Sammy. So I want to say hi to the chat. How you doing? Also, what a fantastic game to listen to from the road and at a beautiful winery in Escondido. And I want to touch on the Dodgers and Diamondbacks. So my heart and soul says I want the Dodgers to lose at all times. But my brain says I want to gain ground on the wild card. So it's such a hard choice to make, but I think we want that. I want to win the division. I'm always here to win the division. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
But a little padding in the wild card would be excellent.
Yeah, Katie, and appreciate the phone call. Appreciate you listening. Hope you had a good time up in Escondido. Yeah, look, I get it. I get it's really hard for a Padre fan. it's a root for the Dodgers. Right now, look, sometimes you get in these scenarios, right? If it were a different scenario, let's say it was the final week of the year, I'm just talking hypothetical, and the Padres were on the brink of a playoff spot. They needed whoever the Dodgers were playing to lose. Guess what? You gotta root in your own self-interest and I guess root for the Dodgers in that scenario. We're a little bit earlier than that. It's not quite the same situation. I know it's hard. The problem, I guess, with the Diamondbacks winning is 2 things. Number one, you're only a game behind them in the wild card. And also that's, that could be the difference, number 1 seed, number 2 seed, of hosting that wild card series or going on the road. That's a pretty big deal. The other issue is if the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers, guess who else gains ground on the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks. So I'm with you. It does feel like the brain would say you're rooting for Arizona losses. I won't even say Dodger wins, for Arizona losses. Feels like that. But, hey, the division is not out of reach, Dodgers lose, you're 4 games out. Dodgers have a bad series, you have a good series, you can find yourself 2-3 games out. Again, we have to consider the Padres have 3 more games left against the Dodgers final week of the year, and they have 3 more against the Diamondbacks. So if you are, let's say in the Dodgers scenario, 2 games back, a game back, 3 games back, you hold the tiebreaker. Look, you could have a shot in that final week of the season. So it's tough. It's tough. Somebody in the chat called it a catch-22. Yeah, it's a little tough. I think right now, Brain would probably, I'm not sure what the math says either, or I'm sure there's people that will break it down more specific than I could, but it does seem like Brain would say you're rooting for, Arizona losses right now in kind of the big picture of things. But hey, if you're the Padres, keep on doing what you're doing. And that is winning baseball games, and the rest will take care of itself. All right, as always, if you missed any of our post-game show, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. You can also go watch any portion of our post-game show on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow. First pitch tomorrow, 1:10 p.m. for Game 2 of this 3-game series. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show begins at 12:10. Right-hander Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres tomorrow. Right-hander Shane Baz on the mound for the Rays. Again, first pitch at 1:10. And our pregame coverage with me begins at 12:10. Looking in at the final totals in this game here today. For the Padres, 13 runs, 13 hits, 1 error. They left on 8. For the Rays, 5 runs, 10 hits, no errors. They left on 10. Winning pitcher in this game, Martin Perez, who improves to 4-5. In fact, the Padres have won each of Perez's starts as a Padre so far. They're 6-0 in games started by Martin Perez. The losing pitcher, Taj Bradley, who drops to 6-9. Time of game, a long one here tonight. 3 hours and 26 minutes, and the crowd at Tropicana Field, 17,547. Once again, first pitch tomorrow, 1:10 p.m. Pregame coverage begins at 12:10. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Nick Danucci, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score here tonight, the San Diego Padres 13 and the Tampa Bay Rays 5. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great night, everybody.